and thanks for joining me for today's First Five. I will be honest with you, I laughed when I realized the passage that I get to share with you today, because this is one that really helped me, I suppose, but also messed me up a little bit when I was wrestling through my call to ministry. And this is when Samuel was called by the Lord. And so this is one that kept popping up as I was questioning, is my call to ministry from God, or is this from my own desire, or is this from other people's voices, or what am I doing with this? And it kept popping up, and it actually became quite comical how many times this was like thrown in my face at sermons or radio or conversations or passages that I would open up to. And so I get to share that with you today, and so we'll wrestle through that together as well. So chapter 3 verses 1 through 10. Let's take a look at that. It says, "Now the boy, Samuel, was ministering to the Lord in the presence of Eli, and the word of the Lord was rare in those days. There was no frequent vision. At that time, Eli, whose eyesight had begun to grow dim so that he could not see, was lying down in his own place. The lamp of God had not yet gone out, and Samuel was lying down in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was. Then the Lord called Samuel, and he said, 'Here I am,' and ran to Eli and said, 'Here I am, for you called me?' But he said, 'I did not call. Lie down again.' So he went and lay down. And the Lord called again, 'Samuel.' And Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, 'Here I am, for you called me.' But he said, 'I did not call you, my son. Lie down again.' Now Samuel did not know the Lord, and the word of the Lord had not been revealed to him. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time, and he arose and went to Eli and said, 'Here I am, for you called me.' Then Eli perceived that the Lord was calling the boy. Therefore Eli said to Samuel, 'Go lie down, and if he calls again, you shall say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant hears." So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And the Lord came and stood, calling as at other times, 'Samuel, Samuel.' And Samuel said, 'Speak, for your servant hears.'" So I will be honest with you. I live near a road where I travel, and off to the side is a new building, a renovated building, at least, with a new sign that says resting place. And so I assumed that the first thing that came to my mind was that it was a funeral home, to be honest. Resting place to me seems like final resting place. This is the place you go for a funeral. Come to find out, it is the building of a church. And after listening to Pastor Aaron's sermon this Sunday, I thought, titled "Finding Rest," I thought, well, I guess that's an appropriate name for a church, because I love the words that we talked about on Sunday, that we are to remain in the vine, we are to abide or cling or dwell. And so I suppose I can be okay with the church being called Resting Place Church, because quite honestly, if we look at this passage in verse 3, it says, "The lamp of God had not gone out yet, and Samuel was lying down in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was." Quite literally, Samuel, when he heard the voice of God for the very first time, and then multiple times after, he was where God was. He was where the ark of God was. He was literally sleeping, finding rest in the presence of God. And I think right now, how fitting is that for us when we need to be abiding and remaining and dwelling and clinging to the one thing that can give us life, the one thing that can call and communicate and urge and encourage. When we are searching for on our own, the whys and the hows and the whats of life, we are, why am I here? What am I doing? What's my purpose? Oftentimes, I think we're just not in the right position, whether that literally means to gather in the place of God, the house of the Lord, come to church, or in the right position of prayer, the posture of prayer, or rest. We're not ready to hear from God. So here's my challenge today. let's listen to God, and then let's have the heart to obey. Samuel heard. He had to get confirmation from Eli that was truly the voice of God. But then he says, "Speak, for your servant hears." He's ready to pounce at the opportunity, because God may not be calling you to full-time ministry, as when I read this, and that's kind of what I was struggling with and wrestling through, but he's calling us to something. He's calling us to something, but mostly he's calling us to himself. He's calling us to find rest in him, to live a lifestyle of abiding, to live a lifestyle of being close to him. And so it's not just a one-time thing, it is a lifestyle. And so I was just reminded of a great sermon from Sunday. And again, when I read this, I just can't help but think Samuel was primed, he was ready, he was in the right position, he was in the right spot. He had people in his life to say, now that's God. Now go do something with it. So that's my encouragement to us today. Let's abide, let's be ready to hear from God, and then let's be obedient to do something with it when action is required. Make it a great day.